Yo, what is up, my fellow virtuous? Your boy A with like 6 hosts can never take a motherfucking loss. I'm in this bitch. Sauce the fuck up. You feel what I'm saying? That was kind of fucked up. I ain't gonna get too much into that. But don't clip me. Don't put me on motherfucking. You mean? Today we're to react to the fighting business as always. You know how to fucking go on this son of a bitch. Today we're to react to UFC 303 Pereira versus Yuri Prochazka. How you pronounce his name? 2. A deeper dive. These motherfuckers are the best in UFC right now. I'm sorry to say this, but it's the truth. Conor McGregor pulled out because he want to be a fucking alcoholic, and John Jones is never fighting again. You know what I'm saying? So we got new goats in town. So let's get right into this son of a bitch. And you feel me?
You know what? I'm about to say it.
Say it.
Alex Pereira is the face of the UFC. On God.
You can do?
How the fuck did he just do that? That was AI.
Las Vegas.
Hã?
Que foi?
Hã? Chama.
Vou entrar no lugar do McGregor.
June is cursed. First, UFC Saudi Arabia loses its main event, and then UFC 303, the event with the biggest gate in the history of the promotion. There was yet another panic scramble at the UFC to get stuff done, and consequently, I scrapped an entire deeper dive around the original main event, McGregor versus Chandler. For a while, I had no idea what to do, so I just complained on TFB stocks. And sometimes it definitely sucks having to deal with like what happens with the UFC. But like I said, we just roll with the punches. But amidst all this misery, guess who stepped up and put it all on the line? Alex Pereira once again, and he has a perfect partner for the new main event of UFC 303, another reincarnated warrior who will go to hell at any time against anyone, Yuri Prochazka.
Alex is a warrior too, so
Yeah.
so that's why it was.
Yeah, it was amazing to see. Is that a fight you'd like to have back?
Yes, not because revenge or whatever, but because I believe I'm better.
In the co-main event, Diego Lopez, the prospect we all want to see make it big, gets that opportunity against a long-standing contender, Brian Ortega. We lost the biggest star in MMA history, but with these changes in addition, I consider UFC 303 saved and worthy of the usual TFB deeper dive. Welcome to the fighting business. We were told June would be a glorious month for MMA, but we got the dark ages instead. Main event falling through and just a lot of uncertainty and confusion. The UFC kept shut about it for weeks, but looking at the card now, they were definitely cooking in the war rooms. Crying too, I'm sure, but they delivered. Now the whole main card is stacked, but we'll take a deep dive at the new main and co-main events.
Fighting business
Thank you
is
to
my
the fighting business. Obviously amazing.
One of my favorite
The
new
channel's
channels
going
going
right
right
now.
now.
You mean?
Diego Lopez versus Brian Ortega. In the past few years, you took a look at the 145 rankings, and the foremost question that popped up was, why is Brian Ortega still in the top 5?
Exactly.
T-City was one of the top featherweights at one point, but following the beating at the hands of Dan champion Max Holloway, we saw Ortega less and less inside the octagon. When he did come back and secured another title shot, the new champion, Alexander Volkanovski, beat him just as badly. 2 failed title shots and a massive amount of damage. It was not looking good for Brian Ortega. The former title challenger came back nearly 2 years later and rectified the fluke injury loss, beating Yair by submission in the 3rd round. Ortega still took a shit ton of damage and got knocked down for the first time in his career, but he pushed through, bad ankle and all, and finally got his first win since 2021.
So when I jumped up, I was tense, but when I landed, it was relaxed, and my whole ankle rolled, and I was like, oh no. And I was worried about the ankle when I was walking. I was like, dude, how am I gonna do 5 rounds with a rolled ankle right now? It's a good thing we went 3.
Speaking of damage though, Diego Lopez inflicts damage on a different scale.
I wanna kill my mom.
Prospects are supposed to win, but
Sorry, everybody say he got this emo look to him.
Lopez isn't just winning, he's demolishing his foes. I think failing at Dana White Contender Series flipped a switch because he has been unstoppable ever since. He was put on the UFC 300 with an expectation to deliver and make a name for himself, and he did just that. After mauling Sodiq Yusuff, we knew for sure Lopez was ready for the next step, and Brian Ortega is the test. For the first time, Brian Ortega is facing a featherweight bigger than him, and I hope he has more than enough durability left and his chin is still intact, because Diego will and is entirely capable of taking Ortega's head off and becoming the first fighter to knock him out. But what if he doesn't? What separates a prospect from a future contender or even champion? When they give it all they have and have to get up from the stool, more often than not, the look changes and the hype train crashes. With a tested gas tank, superb durability,
Yo, I ain't even gonna lie to you, bro. Chimaev was like an actual great clip to explain that. You're actually a fucking genius.
And lethal skills, Brian Ortega will put the new kid through the biggest test of his career, and we'll see how legit Diego Lopez really is.
To me, personally, Diego Lopez is pretty good. I ain't really watch half his fights. Like, no, I'm lying. I watch all his fights. I watch every single UFC fight. He is really good. But do I think he could beat Brian Ortega? It's possible. But can he handle the submission game, the ground game? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a good fighter, but Brian Ortega is a whole different level. Like, when we thought Yair Rodriguez was going fucking, why you say his Mexican name? I'm so sorry, y'all. But however you say his name, but Yair, we thought Yair was going fucking knock Ortega out. We thought he was going fucking super kick this motherfucker on some shit. You feel me? On some WWE shit, like easily. But he got choked out. Nobody expected that.
Alex Pereira versus Yuri Prochazka.
Chiama.
After a really rough patch at 205, riddled with injuries, bad luck, and belt hot potato, the division has finally risen through the chaos and found order. We are finally headed towards the future. All debts paid, and we have one man to thank. Alex Poatan Pereira.
Because since he's been in the UFC, it's been nothing but pure greatness, nothing but accomplishments and achievements.
Who would have thought, really? A few years ago, Alex was simply known as the guy Israel hated, but now, I think it's safe to say that Alex Pereira is one of the biggest stars in the UFC.
One of the best we've ever seen. He
That's why Izzy hated this brother.
came into the UFC so fast, two-weight champion.
After losing to Israel by knockouts, Pereira waited just a few months and then moved up to the light heavyweight division. In his first fight at 205, Pereira faced a former champion in Yan.
It's been 4 months since that knockout. Yeah, that was a brutal knockout. You don't see very many knockouts in MMA. But a guy is different after he gets knocked out.
First fight at 205, and just months after a bad knockout, Pereira went the full distance in a very close decision, but the division badly needed a new contender, and the UFC pushed a former middleweight champion towards the vacant title because that throne needed a king, and quick. As Pereira was making noise in his new weight class, the former champion was also planning his comeback, and the story was just too perfect. Two Chads who had contrasted styles but similar mindsets were set to collide at UFC 295, and that stare down between the two was probably a recreation of an ancestral rivalry from centuries ago.
Why do you think this stare down became so intense?
How the both fighters take that fight.
Yeah.
Take the importance of that situation. For me, is like I told you.
It's either that or you knocked out his OG Glover and Jamal did the same, not knocked him out, but you know what I'm trying to say. Y'all both beat him, so he was trying to come here and avenge him. You feel what I'm saying? So it was already bad blood. But now it's a rematch. This face-off about to be fucking...
For me, is the essential.
God damn, that was intense. And the fight, for as long as it lasted, definitely had the same energy. Chaotic at all times and just a second away from a violent finish. At the end, Alex was the victor as he found that left hand as he always does. I'm not going to get into the question of whether it was an early stoppage, but I will say this. Yuri was the only guy aside from Israel to actually trouble Pereira on the feet. Maybe with a few adjustments, Yuri would be capable of beating the kickboxing legend, but for now, Alex became champion, and Yuri returned to solitude. At UFC 300, both Yuri and Alex were on the card. Yuri headlined the prelims against Alexander Rakic, and he looked more focused than ever before, albeit more self-destructive than ever before too. Not caring about defense or the damage he was taking, Prochazka simply marched Rakic down like he didn't consider him worthy, and when he found the opening, he brutalized Rakic and won by knockout. The last bout of UFC 300, the main event, featured Alex Pereira attempting his first defense of the 205 title against Jamal Hill. It was an effortless victory for Poatan, and no matter what Hill is saying, we don't need to see a rematch right now.
I took no damage.
What? This nigga said he took no damage, y'all. Hold up. I'm sorry I gotta do this, but hold up. Jamal Hill, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. You my nigga. I fuck with you, bro. You my guy. But I'm gonna keep it a beam with you, bro. I'm gonna keep it a whole buck with you, bro, because you my nigga. And I don't want you to be delusional. I don't want you to feel like I'm talking shit. But look at this grown-ass man right here, right? Look at your fucking face, bro. You want to bet $300 to fight me? Or something like that? We can run that shit, my nigga. I ain't no bitch. I mean, I ain't no internet troll. I'm serious. You feel me? You weigh more than me, but shit, I make it count. But look at your fucking face. I need to find a 4K resolution with this one. But Yeah, bro. That was fucked up, bro. I'm sorry to say that. That was fucked up that you said that, bro. You making yourself look pretty. Your eye says it all, bro. I'm sorry.
Most of the fall was me falling down. I remember everything. I remember looking up, seeing his legs. I remember him coming in.
Alex was simply levels above Hill, but after the event was over, with both Yuri and Alex impressing, a rematch between the two was definitely worth revisiting down the line.
But right now, I know how to fight, especially with this guy.
That brings us to today. A short while ago, Yuri Prochazka was considering moving down to 185, and Pereira also had a lot of plans going on, from facing John Jones to Tom Aspinall to grappling with Anthony Smith.
Alex Pereira said if he would put up 50K
And have 5 minutes.
I got 5 minutes to finish him, and he wants to put 50K up for it.
Yeah.
I'll take his 50K.
But once it was clear that Conor McGregor was not fighting at 303, it only took the UFC a couple of days to arrange this rematch.
As I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by this fucking ad. Conor McGregor is my favorite fighter, but I'm losing a lot of respect for him. So I'm gonna stick to Charles Oliveira and Alex Pereira for right now. And multiple flyers I could talk about. If y'all want me to talk about my favorite fighters and why they are my favorite fighters, I would do a list for that. But for right now, let's get back into the shit.
And that speaks volume about how badass these two guys are. 2 weeks notice for world title fights. No problem at all.
Mano,
Tá zoando. Sério, pô? Tá de brinca. É sério.
vai meter a porrada. Vai meter a porrada.
Let's fucking go, no Chiaba.
We have to take note of recent circumstances though. Remember, Yuri and Alex fought not too long ago, and they have 2 weeks to prepare for a 5-round title fight. Yuri took a considerable amount of
Pereira trains every day. I know he does.
damage against Rakic, and while Poatan murked Hill, it was later revealed that he fought injured, namely broken toes. Maybe Alex has recovered by now, but if not, his lethal leg kicks might be compromised. Yuri does not bother checking leg kicks, and he struggled in the first fight because his legs were crippled early on. If Alex can't kick at full power, Yuri is going to be a lot more comfortable trading punches, and we saw in the first fight, he can hang with the kickboxing champion on the feet and even hurt him. There are so many questions here. Have they both recovered enough? Are they conditioned to go full 5 rounds with just 2 weeks to prepare? Will it live up to the hype? Yes it will. We know that for a fact. You can never go wrong with an Alex Pereira or Yuri Prochazka scrap. For as long as this lasts, it will be a thrilling and brutal encounter, and just like the first time, first mistake and last blood.
I mean, he's had one of the quickest the absolute quickest to 2 titles.
I've never seen anything like that.
Nothing's ever been like that.
No, never in my life.
Is Diego Lopez ready to break into the upper echelon of 145? Are we looking at a trilogy or the end of the rivalry between 2 of the most savage light heavyweights in the world? Is Conor coming back? No, wait. I don't really care right now, and neither should you. The MMA world is a better place when McGregor is active, but with this replacement card, I have a feeling the MMA world will do just fine on June 29th. Get YouTube SEO.
I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I'm starting to think these motherfucking fruit flies in this bitch just like... You ever just like have a fly just fly around, or a fucking bug that can fly? And that shit can go anywhere in the fucking world. Anywhere. That shit want to come near you and fuck with me. Like, what's wrong with these bugs, bro? But as I was saying, bro, Alex Pereira about to just knock this nigga the fuck out. I'm sorry to say that, bro. Like, you feel me? If Yuri wins, holy fucking shit. But, Chiama. So, Chiama.